briefly about pages versus PDFs. This is something that we see quite often, and we wanted to address some of the questions that we usually get in regards to pages and PDFs. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just go through some like basic questions that we get, and then give you a bulleted list of some things to remember when you're dealing with pages and PDFs. So the first question is, should you provide a PDF on your website? And the answer is yes, if the PDF that you're presenting is meant to be like printed and read. So for example, a good idea of this would be a manual or some sort of document that someone may need to like keep around, like instructions, that kind of thing. And so in that case, it's a good idea to have a PDF. Should I ever create both a PDF and a web page for the same content? And I've seen this quite a bit. I've seen where people have a really nice page, and then at the bottom you can download a PDF, basically of the same content. So one thing to remember that is happening when you do that is you're actually duplicating content in the digital space because you have both the PDF and the page. And for consistency purposes and SEO purposes, which we'll get into, it's best never to duplicate content. So I would say choose one way or the other. And the reason, oh, I just kind of went through that already. I'm gonna skip it. So are PDFs searched by Google? The answer is yes. Hannah helped me look into this, and basically PDFs are indexed by Google, but the images in them are not. And the other thing to remember is that Google isn't going to show like your PDF in a search result necessarily unless it deems that PDF as the most is the best result for the search that the person created in the browser. And I think that that's kind of hard to do. Like it's a pretty tough deal to make a PDF a top level item, I think, but that's something to consider. Should I link a PDF in my website menu? So since PDFs are not technically meant to be read online, okay, we all do, right? You open a PDF and you read it online. But when you look at the history of a PDF, like what the purpose of a PDF is, it's not so that we all download something and open it and read it on our machine. It's so that we print it and read it. The PDF is meant for printing. That's the purpose of a PDF. So in that light, it really does not make sense to have a link of a PDF in your menu for that reason. But what we get is I really, really need this PDF in the main menu because it's really, really important and people need it, and that's where they're going to know to look, and then blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's a few things that are happening when you do that. You're causing, first of all, a very negative user experience. And the reason for that is that the behavior is unexpected. So although it may be a quick link in your mind to put it in a main menu or in a menu on the sidebar or something, it's actually going to turn off your site visitor pretty quickly because now they're not going to trust you. Because they're going to go to that menu and they're going to expect to click on a menu link and get a web page, and they're going to get a download, and then the next thing they click they're going to get a web page, and now they're starting to not trust you because the expectation that you're giving them isn't matching their expectation. So I think the other reason is that by doing that, you're not able to provide context around the download. So it's important if you do have a PDF download, like a very important manual or an important document that has to do with a department audit or whatnot, it's a good idea to make a page, even if it's a small page, that explains a little bit of context around that document. What is it? Why is it important? What should they expect to get out of it? And then make it very clear that it's a PDF download when they click the button to download the PDF. What's the benefit of a page over a PDF? So one thing to think about in terms of page versus PDF is that content is ever changing. And so when you update, like for example, when you update a PDF, then you have to update it online, and it is possible, although it's very difficult right now, especially, to get the link to that PDF to match as the previous PDF that you uploaded. That's number one. And let's say you do that. What happens, the behavior, generally what happens in that behavior is that people will find the PDF, download it, and then keep it on their machine. And they're going to reference that PDF that they downloaded back in, 2004. But you've updated it in the last year, several years. But they're just like, whatever, like they're going to reference this PDF. Well, that, first of all, right there, you have a disconnect because they're not actually getting the right content. Now, I would hope within 10 years they would look at your website again and see if there's an update. But generally, that's kind of what people do, is they look at it, they find it, they store it. If you have a page, like a web page that you're looking at, then if the behavior of a browser window and a browser like web page is to bookmark it. So if people are bookmarking a page instead of referring to a PDF download, then you can update the page and make changes on it, and you know that they're always getting the most accurate content. Also, you know that Google's crawling that appropriately. You have headers marked. So there's just a lot of benefit of a page over a PDF. So the basic points to remember is that a PDF is something that is meant to be printed and read. And if the content that you're putting in a PDF is not meant to be printed and read, then it probably shouldn't be a PDF. Linked PDFs in the body copy is fine. Make sure that you have context around the fact that it's a PDF, but it's best not to link it in menus. So you don't want to link a PDF in a menu. It's also best not to duplicate content by having both a PDF and a web page. Additionally, what that does is it causes, you think of SEO and search kind of like scarcity, like you've got so much bandwidth, like to do a search and like provide a result. And if you have 2 or 3 items that are the same thing taking up that bandwidth, then it's going to actually cause your SEO to go down rather than up. So you want to choose how you want people to find your content and then really point everybody to that space. It's best to understand that Google will index your PDF, but you want to make sure that, if it's a manual, for example, when I'm looking at, if you're searching online, like for something specific, I think a manual can very well be a top level search result. So if you have that for your websites, in regards to your research or whatever it is you're doing, then that's totally fine, to have a PDF. Make it clear that they're downloading a PDF, and I think I could say that 100 times and not, have it mean it's strong enough. Like it is really, really, really important that people know that they're downloading a PDF. And other than that, I think if you kind of stick to those rules, you should be in good shape when it comes to PDFs or web pages. I'll mention briefly our next webinar, which is going to be course correcting to reach your website goals. So we've talked about kind of creating website goals, and we've talked in the past about who your audience is and what the intent and meaning of the website is. And so the next webinar that we're going to have is going to address how to update your website to reach those goals if what you're doing isn't quite meeting that mark that you would expect.